Hello, Houston. Welcome to another Catholic Lunch Break. Catholic Lunch Break, where we catch up on everything Catholic in Houston. This is the 1 hour a week that is reserved especially for you, because you are Catholic in Houston. So I want to say thank you. My name is Tim Mott. I'm the host for today, and David Magian is joining me running the board. Joel Matthews running our video, which you can see. It's a live video broadcasting to both Facebook and YouTube. Go to facebook.com/GRN online, and you should be able to see our video there, whether or not you have a Facebook account. It is public, and we have a great show lined up today. An awesome show with some powerful guests. And normally, you know, I limit our guests. I say they have to be from Houston because this is the 1 hour in our schedule when we talk about Houston stuff. But I'm making an exception today because they're coming to Houston. So you'll hear more about that later. And the topic, just to tease you a little bit, is marriage, and not necessarily what you're thinking. It is marriage during a pandemic. And I bet that you have probably, if you are married, have experienced some difficulty and you want some advice. So keep listening later on. How are you doing today, David? We need to catch up with you too.
Yeah, I'm doing well. So it's another great day. So thank you, listeners, for listening in today. And I survived 4th of July.
Oh, you survived it? You survived the 4th of July onslaught of fireworks?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I think what happened is that there was only one place doing the main fireworks. And so I think everybody around Houston bought the mega packs of fireworks, shooting them everywhere in their neighborhoods. And so
I know there was just one street away from us. It looked like right behind my house. It looked like there was some semi-professional job going on there. I'm like, wow, I've never seen so big and so close in the neighborhood.
I know it shakes the house and the windows, and it's it's pretty intimidating, but it's a lot. It's neat to see up in the air.
I really love fireworks. They're one of my favorite things to spend money on, and then explode, and your money goes up in flames. But it's fun. It's worth it. And I have to say, this is probably the first time in I don't know how long, maybe 20 years, that I have bought fireworks. So I took my kids out and we went to the fireworks stand and actually got some because in our subdivision it is actually legal. And so we were able to do that. And the kids had a lot of fun, especially with the sparklers. The little race car ones, they didn't actually. There was too much friction, I think, on the road, so they didn't really go very far. But the fountains, those are fun.
Right.
And we got one that I was a little concerned about. There's the 100. It's got 100 shots that go up in the air and pop, and it was like they looked like little bullets in a stone casing there. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have bought this one. I'm not sure about this one. But we lit it off, and it went just fine. And turns out that those are not little bullets. They're little plastic things. So there was no danger of them breaking any car windows. So anyway.
You survived as well.
We survived as well. Happy 4th of July. Happy Declaration of Independence Day. And let's keep praying for our country that it can become what God wants it to be. So that reminds me, we do need to pray to start our show the way we always do. So let's go ahead and do that. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
And you know who the saint is today?
Who is it today?
This is a good one, Saint Maria Goretti.
Yes.
Yes, my daughter is super excited because St. Maria Goretti is her confirmation saint, and she specially chose that one because she felt a kind of a connection there. But the Maria Goretti story is really amazing. Do you know it?
I do, and I read up a little bit about that. And so she died in 1902 at the age of 12, and very young age. And here in June 24th, 1950, she was canonized by Pope Pius XII. And for her ceremony, over 250,000 people attended her ceremony, including her mother, and that's the only time a parent has witnessed their child's canonization. So
it happened kind of quick there, as canonizations go. But the reason for that is her heroic virtue at age 12 is really, really clear from her story. She was attacked.
Right.
She was sexually assaulted by someone that they were sharing a house with, and she refused his advances and suffered herself to die rather than let her purity be compromised. And that kind of heroic virtue is incredible, and such a witness that it was that the man himself, after he got out of prison, went to the mother, begged forgiveness, converted, joined the Capuchins, and his life was saved. And later on, he was canonized, I believe. I think he's a blessed now. Don't quote me on that, but her amazing ability to both stand up courageously in the face of an attack, a vicious attack, and also to forgive her enemies. Amazing combination there.
I know, and great story. And one thing that we should mention also is that there is a Maria Goretti network here in the Houston area.
Yes, you've been in contact with Miguel Prats, who's the guy who runs that. Can you tell me a little more about what they do?
So they provide services for people that have been abused, and also, for the parents and anybody related or has a friend that has maybe been abused in the past. So due to this pandemic, so now they've switched to an online services. And so you can still be a part of this network and be active in this. You just do it online. And so the easiest way to get information is just to go to their website, mgoretti.org.
Yeah.
mgoretti.org.
Yeah, Goretti, Goretti, so mgoretti.org.
Yeah, so take advantage of that. So, we have so many great networks here around, Tim, that we need to, I guess we should mention those more. And we have a PSA on that as well. So, mgoretti.org.
Yeah, there's so many good ministries here in Houston. That's one of them. And I think they operate out of the Co-Cathedral, but like you said, you can now do it online. Another ministry that is significant here in Houston that we get to be a part of is the Holy League for Men. I know a lot of you men have been missing that, or maybe you've been intending to come. It is happening, even with the COVID-19 restrictions. The Annunciation Church downtown, where this is held, has done a very good job of disinfecting everything, controlling the population going into the church so that there's plenty of social distancing happening. And they've been managing to keep up their mass schedule and their devotional schedule, and including the Holy League. So I would encourage you men out there, what this is, it's an hour of adoration. I like to call it a spiritual kick in the pants because it requires a little discipline, because it's at 5:30 a.m. 5:30 a.m. downtown Houston. The traffic is great at that hour, by the way. So
it is, right. Exactly.
You can get there really easy. It's at the Church of the Annunciation. So to learn more about that, you go to annunciationcc.org and look under their devotions there. It's the Holy League Holy Hour for Men. Normally we have the Holy Hour of Adoration with confessions available, and then Mass and a breakfast afterwards. We're not doing the breakfast because a tiny room packing everybody in there, that would not be safe right now. But the Holy League is going to go forward with the adoration and the Mass. So the thing is, you have to sign up for it. So get over to the Church of the Annunciation website, annunciationcc.org, and go to that Holy League for Men under devotions. You can get to the sign-up genius there. There's 175 slots, and I think only 7 of them are filled right now. So there's plenty of room, but you do have to get your name on there. I highly recommend it. I'll be there. David, you planning on going?
So it's
5:30 a.m.
5:30
Come on,
a.m.
man, it'll be fun.
I know. So it's the second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday. That's this coming Wednesday.
Next week.
Oh no, this week.
This week.
Yeah, it'll be this week because that's the 8th.
Okay. Yeah, the 8th. You're right. Today's Monday. I forget.
Holy League is this week.
Okay.
This week, annunciationcc.org. Check that out. And big announcement. I don't know if you've heard this yet on the air.
Right. Very big announcement.
Very big announcement. Do you know Bishop Strickland from the Bishop of Tyler?
Yes, he's been here before.
He's been a guest on Joe's show. I think we had him speak at our Fishers of Men.
Right.
Yeah, a great guy who's been really courageous as bishops go, very outspoken in defense of the faith and in what he believes in, and really has been a strong leader. We have great news. He is going to be heard every week here on we're adding him to our schedule.
Right.
The Bishop Strickland Radio Hour.
Right. So it's going to be happening on Fridays at 12 noon.
Fridays at noon. So just like we take Mondays at noon to do our local show here, we're going to take Fridays at noon and give that to Bishop Strickland for the Bishop Strickland Radio Hour. Brand new show that starts this week. So be sure to set your calendar, set a reminder, tune in Friday at noon.
Yeah, and so maybe for people that, so he's from he's in Tyler,
just east of Dallas.
Exactly. And so maybe for some of the listeners that may not know about Bishop Strickland, in a few words, why should we listen to him?
Because, like I said, he is courageous and clear in his leadership as a bishop. Like, he understands the faith. He understands the problems that we have facing as Catholics. He understands the problem that our culture has right now, and he is unafraid to address it directly. He's unafraid to grow, and he's unafraid to really tackle the problems as he sees them.
So he's bold, and he wants to speak the truth.
Yeah, I had to come up with a little Facebook post graphic so that we could promote it. And I was trying to come up with, how would I describe Bishop Strickland in the space limitations I have? And what I came up with was straight to the point. Because that's how I feel like he works. So
yeah, you're right.
That was me. If Bishop Strickland, you don't like that tagline, I'm sorry, but straight to the point. I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, so it's a great way to take advantage of. So we have Cardinal DiNardo here in town, and he speaks very well, eloquently.
Be happy to give him an hour on radio if he wants it.
I know, and so we get the advantage and the opportunity to bring in another bishop.
Yes. So Bishop Strickland Radio Hour, and look for that. Listen for that. This Friday at noon. Another thing that's happening, just going on right now, is the Cafe Catholica. This is another online option. Normally, Cafe Catholica, the young adult series that the Archdiocese puts on, it's a great gathering where they throw 700 young adults together in some church around here. Well, they've had to move it online. But that's good because that means they can reach even more, and people could be even more flexible in getting to hear it. But Cafe Catholica, it starts tonight.
It's a
series of talks on Mondays. You have a little more information about what those talks involve, don't you?
Yeah, so starting tonight, Matt and Stephanie Regitz will be the speakers, and today they'll be talking about loving fully. Complicated, simple, possible. That is their topic tonight, and we encourage you to go to the website, sign in, and register. But it's starting tonight for the next 4 Mondays.
Next 4 Mondays. Yeah. Is it the Regits every night?
No. So, so there's different speakers, and we'll be running PSA. So I encourage you to listen to AM 1430, your favorite radio station, to see who will be speaking next week.
But they can also go to cafecatholica.com, right?
Yeah, it's on the Archdiocese website, archgh.org, I believe. And you can navigate through their website and find Cafe Catholica. And again, it starts tonight with Matt and Stephanie Regitz.
Yeah, I'm sure a quick Google search will help you there. Cafe Catholica. I believe Cardinal DiNardo is going to be one of the speakers later on, isn't he?
In probably the third week.
That's nice.
Yeah, so Cardinal DiNardo, Bishop Strickland, And
when we say young adults, they have a broad definition of young adults.
They do.
So, go ahead and sign up for that if you're at all interested or you know someone who might be interested as a young adult. This is really kind of designed for that in-between. We had an interview about this not too long ago, but it's designed for that kind of in-between demographic. We do a lot with youth, up through high school. We do a lot for married couples, and we have senior ministries, but that kind of, single, maybe married, working a lot, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, they kind of fall through the cracks some, even though that's really kind of, the backbone of our demographic, the people doing the most.
Yeah, just coming out of high school and then college, you're getting ready to start your career, start your first job maybe, and this is a great ministry to kind of lead you in the right path. And you're going to be among other fellow Catholics that are in your same journey. And so that's great, a great time to spend time with others like that and share some of your experiences and, not feel so alone.
And I think they have more than just a speaker plan for each of these. I think there's some more activities involved. So check that out at cafecatholica.com, cafecatholica.com. Is there anything else that we need to mention today?
Well, this COVID-19. Do we need to talk about that some more, or there's always new news coming out, and
Well, I feel torn about this because I don't know whether to brave it out and we just need to get through this and keep going on life as usual and let it run its course, or do we need to lock everything down still? It's been a long time, and is the virus going to outlast our ability to stay holed up and everything? So anyway, I did some quick research before getting on the show, so take this for what it's worth, but there's a spike right now happening.
Right.
The cases are going up.
Right.
A record number of patients in Texas are in the hospital right now. Over 8,000 patients currently in the hospital. 38% increase from the previous week. 38%. That's a very steep line on a graph. So the cases are going up. Please do your best to be prudential. All that common sense stuff, wear the mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face, avoid as much contact as you can, don't go out if you don't have to. That all still applies. And by doing that, what you're doing is you are loving your neighbor. That mask, it doesn't really protect you. The mask is to catch the droplets coming out of your mouth so that it doesn't spread to others, because you can spread it without even realizing it. It happens before your symptoms even show.
Right, and so it's again, part of our faith. Love your neighbor, and so don't think about yourself, but think about your neighbor and all the other ones that you come in contact with, and just keep them in mind.
Well, I know that I'm one of those guys who, if you tell me to do something, I might not want to do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I'm the same way.
I'm like, I'm fine wearing a mask. Sure, I'll wear a mask. But if you tell me to wear a mask, well, maybe I don't want to wear a mask now. So it's difficult with authorities that we may or may not trust giving us orders that we may or may not agree with.
And we understand that. I understand
totally
that.
Understand
I know. But at the end of the day,
you want to love your neighbor, and why take the risk? Like if it's a possibility that you could save somebody else by being a little more cautious than you would normally want to be, why not do that?
Yeah, and just you and I were talking about, some of the events that we planned throughout the year and conferences. We just want to get these cases down.
I got a phone call this morning for an event that I was hoping to bring back soon, but it didn't work out, so we're gonna have to postpone that one. But it's very frustrating. But I think that we can get through this together. It will pass, but it'll pass faster if we can work together on it. So do your best, people. Do some research and practice some common sense and love. The last thing before we bring our guest on, the last thing that I want to talk about is a new initiative. I say initiative like it's a big complex thing. It's actually really simple.
Right.
From the Guadalupe Radio Network. This station is part of the Guadalupe Radio Network. 37 stations, touching about 10 different states, depending on how you count it. But there is a new initiative called Rosary Missionaries. We have some very particular and special prayer requests that we are asking you to join with us in. If you would please commit to praying a rosary every day, which really you ought to be doing anyway, but praying a rosary every day for these intentions. You can sign up for this at our website, grnonline.com. Just scroll down to where it says Rosary Missionaries there in the events section. And these intentions I want you to be aware of. Pray for America and our world in this time of crisis, that peace may replace anger, violence, and resentment. Pray for the conversion of all of our hearts. Pray for a cure to the COVID-19 that afflicts our world, and pray for our leaders in the church, our country, and our world to be led by the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. And if you will join these Rosary Missionaries by signing up for the email list that is on that page, when you go to grnonline.com.
See, Romero, we want them to be successful. We want the CPLC to be successful. We want Catholic Charities and St. Vincent de Paul and every parish with their fall festival to be fed up. And live remotes, I haven't done a lot of them in the last few months, but so anyways, that's why we do it. We just want you to see, because we know you can't tune in constantly, and radio is not visual by its nature, but we want you to see who's been here, bishops and priests and religious. I'll put you on the spot. Is there anything in the last year that any guest, anything that really stands out that you thought, well, that was fun, or that was kind of unusual, or different, or I know there's so many to choose from.
He didn't come in studio, but we talked to him on the phone. Jonathan Rumi from The Chosen, who played Jesus. I mean, you can't really top the guy who plays Jesus, unless we had Jim Caviezel. Then that'd also be
But remember, it was I think 2 years ago that Jim Caviezel came. You didn't go, did you?
I didn't go. You went, but I got to see the pictures in the video.
Yeah. So I actually was able to interview Jim Caviezel because it wasn't for Passion of the Christ. It was for the movie about St. Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul, the Apostle Paul, or what have you. But that's the kind of stuff we do. We go out there and we try to cover things that are going on. I wish we could do more. I wish we had a whole crew and we could be out, covering events.
Yeah.
And
there's so much going on. But I bet every person who watches that slideshow will find at least 20 people to go, oh my gosh, them too, and them, and that. How many people we see. It's crazy when you look back at the year.
Yeah, and there was a time. I don't know if this was before your time or if you were caught the tail end of this, where we were doing interviews about all the parishes.
I did a few of those.
You did a few of those? Yeah. And so the goal was every single parish sends over the pastor or representatives, and we highlight the parish. And we did a lot of them, at least 30. And the cool thing, I remember the one that comes to my mind is St. Francis and Grapevine. That parish, I'm guessing, has been around maybe 40, 50 years. Maybe that's too long. But there was a lady who started that parish as a child, and then she's now quite elderly, but she got to talk about the entire history of that parish she lived in, and she came into studio. And then we had Kay Fialo come in from the Fort Worth Diocese, talk about the history of the Fort Worth Diocese, the history of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and because every parish has a story.
It does, yeah, it's beautiful. I think when we go out to the parish in Forney,
St. Martin of Tours.
St. Martin of Tours. Didn't we have, when we did a live remote there, wasn't there a family that had several generations had been at that parish?
Yeah,
that was so cool.
Because you think of that, you would think of that area as being, it's a new parish. It's, they're building something new, but that parish goes back 150 years.
Yes.
Because the Diocese of Dallas seemed to start from the east. Wiley was one of the first parishes.
Right.
Forney was one of the first parishes. It seemed kind of go east to west for some reason. So anyways, that's what we do, and we're always so grateful. Do you want to give an update on the Facebook page? I know it wouldn't be a good news show if we didn't do that, right?
It wouldn't. The good news is that we're at 319 members. So it's one more. I think that's a good goal, right? One more.
Yeah,
320.
Very realistic goal, right?
And it's a good. Especially as we're talking about all these things that happen locally. I'm trying to, get better about posting about these local happenings that we have, and we'll give updates about the Summer Speaker Series on this page as well. So if you want to go to facebook.com to join our group, you can, in the Facebook search bar, type in GRNDFW and ask to join the group, and I'll accept you, and you'll be part of the community. So. All
right. So we just got a comment from somebody named Laura Cavanna. I don't know if that rings a bell, Sam. And she says, "Sounds like fun. Hi, Sam." Okay. All right, that's Mom, right? Okay. So, anyways, go to our Facebook page and make sure you get the right one. You'll see a split screen. You'll see me kind of big, and then Sissel in the background. Sissel's got her little Batman logo on her back of her computer there.
I forgot that people can see that.
Yeah, you actually color coordinated with the Batman logo.
I'm wearing yellow dress. There you go.
All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to take a little break now and come back with Robert and Diane Schwind with Balanced Families Ministries. Let's get one person to go to Facebook and invite yourself to join our Facebook page. Also, watch us on the live stream. We got a half dozen or so that are watching right now. You can kind of see behind the scenes. But anyways, thanks for watching and listening. And we got some great guests for the rest of the program. And we always enjoy your input, 877-757-9424. Robert and Diane Schwind with Three Hearts Institute will join us after a quick break.
Thank you. We go to St. Teresa's out in Sugar Land, and we don't have kids yet, but God willing, that will be in our future.
Well, over the year, you've still got plenty of time to go. So St. Teresa is a great parish, by the way.
Absolutely.
I live pretty close to there, so I get over there for daily mass sometimes.
Absolutely.
It's great parish. Now, what is Together in Holiness, real quick in a nutshell, because we got to lay some groundwork for why I'm allowing non-Houston guests on my Houston show. They're on the phone. We'll introduce you in a minute, Steve and Becky. But Sarah, why are we allowing non-Houston guests here?
Absolutely. So Together in Holiness is a marriage conference series designed to inspire spouses to grow together in holiness. And we are allowing non-Houston guests because Steve and Becky Green will be one of our keynote presenters on September 26th when Together in Holiness is happening.
Okay, so they're coming to Houston, and that gives me the excuse. Steve and Becky Green, welcome to the Catholic Lunch Break.
Thank you so much for having us, Tim.
Thanks so much, Tim.
Yeah.
The honorary Houstonians.
Honorary Houstonians for the day. So there you go.
We'll take that.
Yeah. So you're on your speakerphone. Sounds great there. And I think we need to introduce you as well. So Steve and Becky Green, what is like the easiest way for our audience to get to know you?
Oh, well, we are Steve and Becky. We've been married for about 17 and a half years. We have 5 children ranging in the ages of from 14 to 4, and hopefully they will stay quiet the entire time we're doing this interview. We have bribed and allowed a movie to be put on so that they can all stay happy together and not fight in the background.
Top-notch parenting.
And we met actually as Steve was a cradle Catholic, and I was not a Catholic. And we actually have a radio show now out here. It's a local show like yours called The Catholic Conversation, but it is podcast all over the world. And our tagline is with the cradle and the convert.
The cradle and the convert. I'm a convert myself, so I got a little to relate with too there.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well, then it's good to know there's other converts out there. So, so he was the cradle, devout Catholic youth minister, and I was the agnostic, pro-choice feminist type girl that didn't like religion at all. And, it's a match made in purgatory, essentially.
Literally, you've got a lot of growing to do, but, you're going to have the strongest marriage of all after all that. And now when you say out here, where are you talking to us from?
We're actually in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, Mesa, Arizona, one of the suburbs of Phoenix, and we've been I've been out here since '97. I'm actually a Wisconsin native, so I'm a little bit of a honorary Houstonian by virtue of J.J. Watt, who, of course, all Wisconsinites love dearly. Since you guys got him now, I'm always happy to cheer for Houston while he's on board.
Yes. As soon as we get some sports back. But so out there in Mesa, Arizona, at least it's a dry heat, right?
That's the excuse they use to lure you in. And then they got you.
Oh, but just wait till you get to Houston. We have humidity for you. So let's see. Your ministry. You already talked about your radio program there, but one of the reason you're going to be speaking about of marriage at the Together in Holiness Marriage Conference is because you're involved in the marriage prep ministry in the Diocese of Phoenix. There, right?
That's right. Yeah, we've actually what is it, going on 11 years now. Bishop Olmsted trotted out an expanded marriage prep policy in the diocese 10 years ago, and we were one of the beta teams that worked on what's called God's Plan for a Joy-Filled Marriage. It's basically a one-day seminar course for engaged couples based on St. John Paul II's theology of the body. And we kind of give them, of course, in a summary form, a little bit of a soup to nuts tour of both kind of the anthropology of St. John Paul II's theology of the body, and then of course the whole teaching on marriage and sex and the meaning of male and female, with the idea that they're just not going to get that from the culture we live in, and unfortunately that catechesis is not yet all pervasive in the church either. So Bishop just felt it was an important piece for them to have and to understand as they prepared for marriage.
That's really a lot of foresight that he has there, because it's so true that our culture has really moved away from the true teaching of what it means to be human. I mean, that you use the word anthropology, but that's basically what it is, just what it means to be human. That basic understanding that you think would be just something that we're born with, but it's not. We have to learn it, what it means to be Houston. And in some sense, what life is about getting us to heaven. And to do that, the glory of God is a human fully alive, as I believe St. Irenaeus or Ignatius or one of them put it. In your marriage prep there, do you dive into all the technical stuff of like, anthropology and theology and all that, or do you break it down for people who are they fell in love and they want to get married? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is breaking down, and it is difficult because we really are given. We say it's like a 7-course meal, which includes the actual lunch, but we have 6 different sessions that start with sort of the scriptural Old Testament understanding of just what was it meant to look like in the beginning, and that is all. Most of this is all really rooted in our understanding of masculinity and femininity. So it's not just the human being made in the image and likeness of God. It's also understanding what the feminine nature and masculine natures are meant to reveal about God and meant to be in this complementary relationship with one another. And that's something that's really lost on our culture today. So it's really trying to introduce them to that, maybe for the first time, or reintroduce them if they've heard it, bits and pieces. But often throughout the course of the day, as they're being immersed in some of the scriptural background of what marriage is meant to be and what it was meant to look like in the beginning, that leads them into the understanding of how that is supposed to play out when it comes to both how you interact before marriage and then, of course, what the marital embrace is meant to be, what that nuptial union is meant to signify and represent. And that leads into then the final session, which is actually a short introduction on natural family planning. And so by the time they get to that point, they really have become familiar with the language. They've been immersed in sort of this new paradigm about what male and female is meant to be and what that union of marriage is meant to be, the Trinitarian iconic representation that it's meant to be in the world. And so they're much more equipped, I think, to embrace that. And often the most common thing that we hear at the end of those days, and mind you, this is just one day, is why haven't I heard this before? I've been Catholic my whole life, or I went to Catholic schools, or, I thought that I was a practicing Catholic, but this is just new to me. And when they say that, there's a little bit of lamenting because they understand that they probably would have made different decisions in their lives leading into this point where everybody really wants to be an excellent husband or wife to one another. And we just don't have the tools that's certainly given to us from the culture and from the society that we live in.
Mm-hmm. And that lament that you talk about there, I get that, because when you see that goal and you intuitively realize, oh, this is not just a knowledge thing, this is a formation thing. Formation doesn't happen in an instant. And so you've got these couples there for one day, and you give them this glorious vision of what marriage is and what it is to be human, and how being man and woman make a family and make a domestic church. How do you think that sticks with them? Are they able to take that into their marriage? What ongoing support do they need for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim. They fill out an evaluation at the end of the day, and there's a number of indicators on the evaluation that kind of take stock of where they were coming into the day and then where they are going out. And it's really interesting to see how dramatically the needle can move in just that day, and for so many of them. And then the Marriage and Respect Life office, and actually the teams out here that do this God's Plan for a Joy-Filled Marriage Day consist of 2 married couples and a priest. So our other couple is actually Mike and Sharon Phelan, and Mike directs the Marriage and Respect Life office. They do some ongoing follow-up, but we've also just had a lot of anecdotal feedback from couples who have been through the day, who have circled back to us later on and just said it made such a difference. And of course, as we all know, that has nothing to do with how spectacularly funny and attractive and articulate Becky and I are. It has to do with the fact that the church has what the world needs, right? We have the truth. We've been entrusted with it. We like to say that John Paul II's theology of the body is really the church's counter-revolution to the sexual revolution. And for as much good as it's already done and is doing in the world and in the church, it's only just beginning. I mean, we're just beginning to understand and unpack and apply what John Paul II offered to the church in that great catechesis. So it has an impact already, and I think that's only going to continue, which is really, it's a blessing. It's very humbling to be a part of.
It really is grace. I mean, we are weak, and God gives us grace to be able to grow. And I thank you that you are planting and watering those seeds in so many marriages in your diocese. I also want to talk about you for a little bit, because that grace is surely something that you have worked out in your marriage, especially, as you mentioned in your background, one of you being a cradle Catholic and one of you being a convert from did you say agnostic or atheist?
Agnosticism, yes.
Yeah. So, if with you not knowing whether there is a God or not, how did you guys get together? Did you convert first and then get together, or was the? I want to know the kind of the sequence of events here.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Tim.
Oh,
What
Tim.
a question you have.
Yeah.
Oh, we have 25 minutes.
Okay, well, that's just almost enough, but we'll do our best to try to sum it up in a very short
Leave some room for Sarah. Okay.
Right, exactly, to get to some other things. Essentially, I met Steve through some mutual friends at a movie when I had just moved up to Phoenix, and I didn't know anybody but these mutual friends, and they happened to be Catholic, and I was very anti-religion. But it was just meeting him, and frankly, it was because I was a product of the culture. I mean, I think when you're just immersed in that, it becomes your default setting. Feminism for me, the pro-choice stance, all of that, I'm empowered, I'm liberated kind of thing. That's just a default setting, especially growing up in California where I grew up. And so I met him, and he happened to just be there at that movie, and he was a youth minister. But here's the kicker: he had just applied to seminary. So, I mean, it's like your classic love story, right?
Uh-huh.
And so he took an interest in me. I took an interest in him, and we actually went out on a date because he hadn't heard back from the seminary.
Yeah, that's after you. For those of you who have not ever applied to seminary, the way it works is you apply, and then they put you through a battery of psychological testing. And then in my individual case, you don't hear anything for 6 weeks. It's like,
And you're like, did they ghost me or what?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little unnerving, to be honest. You're like, well, I know I've got issues, but apparently I've got some that the Diocese of Phoenix just discovered, and now they've gone cold. But it was in that dead period that I actually met Becky, and I was going to seminary because I was really trying to discern what God was calling.
I described it as perhaps the most powerful political force in America today, has as one of their mission statements, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. And when I first read that, I was like, seriously? I mean, I understand that sometimes not everybody can grow up in a nuclear family, and there's, unfortunately, there are divorce and separations, and parents die, and there's a lot of things. But at least in an ideal form, who wouldn't be in favor of this beautiful nuclear family of a man and a woman and children in one house? What do you make of this kind of overt attack in our culture against the nuclear family?
Yeah, that's terrifying, Dave. We were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, and God created us in a specific way. There was nothing random about the way God intended things. He had a very specific plan for male, for female, for the interaction between male and female, as husband and wife, as mother and father, as the foundational unit of the family. And that there's a reason he gives children a mother and a father. And when we try to distort or work that plan according to our own whims, our own desires, it just doesn't work right. And, an analogy that I've used probably hundreds of times at this point, and was probably stolen from Christopher West at some point early on, is my pickup truck. I have a Toyota Tundra that I love, has 300,000 miles on it. I'll drive it forever, but it runs on unleaded fuel. And there's a sticker right there on the filler that says unleaded fuel only. Toyota is not trying to restrict me to unleaded fuel just to make life difficult. But if I were to put diesel fuel in that, because I think it's going to work better, it's not going to work better, right?
Yeah.
It's the same way with marriage and with the family. God's created us with a purpose, with a plan, and we just have to live it. And life would be so much better for all of us if we could just follow that simple mantra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what you all are doing and we're doing. I was very happy to see Bishop Strickland out of Tyler tweet, I guess, over the weekend. Diane, I think you may have seen that as well, where he took, exception at some of the, the mission statements of this group, Black Lives Matter. And the importance nowadays, I don't know that we can stay silent. We got to speak out lovingly, charitably, understanding that some people are forced into situations that they didn't choose. But at the same time, this is an age where we really have to let our voice be heard, as Bishop Strickland has done, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to give you an example that I thought was so good. In fact, I think Robert and I were talking about it, and I said, this is history making. This is the Battle of Loretto that, happened here. This was good, and there was an event in Ventura, California on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And it was a young 27, 28-year-old young man found out that there was going to be an attempt to take down another statue of St. Junipero Serra, and he started texting and calling his buddies and saying, we got to go protect this. We cannot let this happen. And, and he got a lot of pushback, oh man, we got family coming over. We're going to be grilling. We're, all these events that they already have planned. And he was like, no, this is exactly what we have to do. We have to protect our faith in our country on the 4th of July. And he was able to gather up somewhere around 80, 85 people. And it looked to be mostly men. There were some women involved, but mostly men. And they stood around this statue. And at some point in that day, even Bishop Barron came and prayed the rosary. And then they, I guess, continued to pray the rosary even after the bishop had left, because as these protesters were coming on, and they said they're standing there around this statue, and here comes, looks like he said somewhere around 300 people running at them. And can you imagine? I mean, this is just like being in a battle, like, okay, guys, here we go, here it comes. And to look at the pictures of the videos and everything, there were a lot of good-sized guys standing on the front line there.
Yeah.
And here come these 300 people rushing at them, screaming and yelling all the things that, they're all screaming and yelling. And they really kind of just came to a halt when they saw this 85 people surrounding the statue, even though there were about 300 of them. And these people did not engage. They, the protesters were screaming and yelling terrible things at them, but the people around the statue just continued to pray the rosary. And they said in the 4th or 5th decade, these 300 people just started dissipating, just started walking away. And, no weapons were brought out, no fists were thrown. They just stood ground and prayed the rosary. And 300 people walked away.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is a Battle of Lepanto all over again, right there in Ventura, California.
And no blood being shed,
No blood shed, yes. And so, we've got to quit being silent and get up. I know there's he's become quite famous blogger or a video guy, Taylor Marshall. He says, take up space. And that is, we really and truly can remain silent to some extent, as long as the silence is not our words, but our prayers. We take up space with prayer, and it's making a difference when we can do that. So, no, we can't just sit home around the pool and the barbecue when we need to be out there praying. And, you got to do what's best for your family in terms of who goes and who stays, and
Right.
And
I've talked to my family about this as well. It might, and I know this is a scary thought, it might be an age of martyrdom. I mean, we might be going into a time, and I know some of the great saints wanted to lose their life. I mean, think of Ignatius of Antioch, how excited he was to get destroyed by the beasts. I really wish we had another 30 minutes, but the truth is we only have one more minute, and I didn't even get to half my questions. Robert, can you close us out and just let people know how they can help you, whether it's financially, volunteering, visiting the website? What can they do? I wish we had more time, and we'll do another interview. But what should people know?
Okay, well, again, visit our website. We would love financial help. I know Diane wanted to get into this real quickly. But we actually keep us in your prayers. We are hoping to set up a retreat house near Clear Creek Monastery. We very much could use prayers for that endeavor because it's way bigger than we are. If you would like to support us financially, you can go to our website. We are a 501c3 corporation, so any financial help would be tax deductible.
Receive the graces of this plenary indulgence by making a pilgrimage to St. Joseph before March 24th, 2021. To gain the indulgence, visit St. Joseph as a pilgrimage asking for his powerful intercession. The normal conditions for an indulgence should be fulfilled, such as striving to be detached from sin, going to confession, and receiving Holy Communion, praying for the Pope's intentions within a few days of the visit. More information will be provided at the church. I'm happy to welcome you to our parish and assist you. The motto for our Jubilee year comes from Genesis 45. It is, Ite ad Ioseph, or go to Joseph. Our parish website has more information for you, stjoseph.org.
Hi, I'm Claudia Garza. I am an insurance agent with Farmers Insurance, serving West Houston and Katy. And I am a proud sponsor of this Guadalupe Radio Network station. Catholic radio is truly food for my soul. I sponsor 1430 AM because I want to help evangelize. You can reach me at my office, 713-780-4841, 713-780-4841.
You're listening to the Catholic Lunch Break. My name is Tim Mott, and we are talking about marriage today with Sarah Dietz from the John Paul II Foundation and Steve and Becky Green from the Diocese of Phoenix, who they have a marriage prep ministry, also a radio show, the Catholic Conversation there. Did I get that right, Catholic Conversation?
You got it.
Okay, cool. And the reason that we're talking about marriage today is because Together in Holiness, the marriage conference, is coming up soon. Sarah, I wanted to ask you briefly, why did you choose Steve and Becky? I mean, clearly they're brilliant and funny and have an awesome story, but they're from Phoenix. Why do you have to go to Phoenix to find a couple to come talk?
Absolutely. Well, I think you just about summed it up. They're funny and intelligent and personable and have experience in catechesis, but they also mentioned Mike Phelan, who is a dear friend of the foundation, so that's how we got connected with them. But we do have two local couples from Houston speaking at Together in Holiness as well. One will be speaking in Sugar Land and one will be speaking in the Woodlands, so don't worry, you will get to hear from some local Houston friends as well.
Great. I actually got to go to Together in Holiness, 4 years ago or so, and that was the first time I got to hear Deacon Harold Burke Sivers, so I know you get really great speakers. But you've had a new development in the logistics of it, and I don't just mean COVID preparation or anything, but you actually do two locations simultaneously.
Yes, so this is actually our third year of doing it in two locations across the Archdiocese. So we'll be hosting one location of the conference at St. Teresa out in Sugar Land, and we'll be hosting one at St. Simon and Jude up in the Woodlands, hoping to reach some of those people outside of the main part of the city to make sure that you all have ministry in those areas as well.
Well, so it's one possible strategy for a large area like Houston is to make it centrally located, so everyone has to drive a long way to get to downtown. But you've chosen a different way. You do one in the far north and one in the far south, so that everyone, if you're on the northern half, the southern half, you don't have to drive that far to get there.
Exactly. There are very many events here in the central part of Houston, so we wanted to make sure that it's accessible for everyone. And we did for several years host it at St. Cecilia here in the middle of town, but we actually outgrew that venue. So that's another aspect of it, is that there isn't really a parish in town that's big enough to host the full number of people who attend the conference.
Wow. Okay. Now, Steve and Becky, did you realize what you were getting into with two locations on one conference?
Everything's bigger in Texas, so we figured it had to be something like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they have a helicopter, booked to get you from one to the other real fast. Is that how it works? Like, every speaker is going to be at both locations?
So Steve and Becky will be at both locations, and Danielle Bean, who's our other national speaker, will be at both locations. And then in the middle of the day, that's where we'll have those local couples from Houston, and they'll be speaking only at their respective locations. But they'll be giving very similar presentations, kind of a guided discussion for couples to really dive into what they're learning.
So you don't have to feel like you're missing out on the northern part if you go to the southern church. Okay, vice versa. Okay, that's wonderful. Now, has COVID-19, I'm really glad that there's an actual event that's going on that we're planning, promoting. Has that thrown any monkey wrenches into your works?
It has, absolutely, but we are coming up with creative solutions to get around that. So we'll obviously be having things like social distancing, capacity requirements if we're still at that point. We're monitoring state and local and archdiocesan requirements very carefully to make sure that our plans are in compliance with that. But we're also very excited to announce our at-home conference experience.
Okay, so there's a mobile version as well.
There is. So what we'll be doing is actually about 10 days before the conference, mailing out a physical version of the conference folder along with some activities for your kiddos to participate in childcare and learn alongside you. And we'll be sending out via email some tips and ideas to help really prepare your heart, prepare your home, and prepare your family to enter into the conference experience just like you would if you were coming to the in-person event.
Okay, and all this, I'm assuming that there's all this is explained on the website.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can go to togetherinholiness.org, and there's a button for Sugar Land and a button for the Woodlands, and both websites have information about the at-home conference experience.
Okay, so and now since the capacity might be an issue, is it important for people to get their tickets early if they're thinking about going?
I think so, absolutely. And we're also offering an early bird registration discount up until August 10th. So right now, couple tickets are about $49 and individual tickets are $29. After August 10th, that will go up to $59 and $35. But the at-home conference ticket is $15 regardless of when you register.
That's very affordable. That's very affordable.
Absolutely,
okay.
that's the goal.
Yeah, Steve and Becky, don't worry, you're not doing this pro bono, I'm sure. But I did have a question for you, Steve and Becky. What is your talk going to be? Because this isn't a full day. You're only going to get like half a day at each event. How are you going to condense your Theology of the Body talk down to even a smaller portion?
Well, we're fortunate that the Together in Holiness team has given us some beautiful criteria to kind of keep us structured and boxed in a little bit, because we would ordinarily just love to take this off and turn it into a 3-hour talk if we had the opportunity.
We know we can.
So yeah.
a lot of our presentations end by tranquilizer darts. The
big hook comes out and just drags you off.
That's right. So our hope is in the one about I believe it's at the Sugar Land location, which is the theme is the family, which is the school of love, and we're hoping to just really introduce the attendees, whether they're there in person or virtually, to just this idea of what is the family meant to represent, and how does that become this training ground for your life in society, and that as a couple. You have to intentionally, there's a lot of intentionality behind the very minutia of decisions you make in the home and within the marriage that cultivate that. And so the spirit of that is really going to be about what does that look like when you're trying to create that Catholic identity and the ethos have that flow through the family. So that this is not just something that is beneficial to the married couple, but that you're passing on something to the next generation, because the only way that we can flood the world with the Catholic love that we're all called to, and to change the paradigm of what the world sees marriage and family as, is to pass that on to our next generation. And that starts right in the home. You know, John Paul II said that the family is the vital cell of society. So everything hinges on the family and cultivating it and nourishing it the proper way. Otherwise, it's just going to die.
So people really need to put their most effort where it's going to get the most return, and the family is that. The focus on the priorities, and the family is where those gains are going to be made. If you get your family spiritually healthy, you are going to be spiritually healthy. And to get your family spiritually healthy, you need your marriage spiritually healthy. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, and the great gift of being Catholic, as we all know, is that we are entrusted with an absolute embarrassment of riches when it comes to the work of marriage and family. You know, we first of all, just beginning with the fact that marriage is a sacrament, right? And of course, a sacrament is this touch point of grace that's meant to give us fuel for the journey. That's meant to give us wisdom that's deeper than our own, strength that's greater than our own. And so, Becky and I have always talked about encouraging couples to really pray for the grace of your sacrament to be poured out on your marriage and on your family, especially when it's struggling. And every marriage struggles and every family struggles. But the idea, too, I think, that is so central for us is that in the culture that we live in, where marriage and family are so profoundly under attack, so profoundly misunderstood, and the truth about marriage and family that we've been entrusted with as Catholics have been so largely rejected or ignored, we have as Catholic couples and as Catholic families a true opportunity to bear luminous witness to the truth, goodness, and beauty of what marriage is meant to be in God's plan, what family is meant to be in God's plan. And so, like you say, cultivating that at home really requires some intentionality. We have to think about the gift of marriage. We have to think about the gift of family. We have to live accordingly. We have to catechize our kids accordingly, so that when we go out into the world, people ought to see, in spite of all the messiness, but that's part of it, right? They can see, and we're not angels floating around, on harps, on clouds playing harps. We're a real family, and sometimes we're bringing a circus out in public that we always joke our charism is making other families feel better about themselves. That's the Green family charism. But if they see genuine love and an appreciation for the gift of your spouse and your children in the middle of that, I think that's compelling to people, because a lot of people don't see that, and they don't see marriage as something worthwhile, or children as a gift. They don't see a marriage as something that's full of hope and that's full of beauty. So as Catholics, if we can take advantage of what the Church gives us and then be intentional about incorporating that in our marriages and families, and then bring that into the world, we have the ability to really be evangelical in our marriages.
That is absolutely wonderful. I'm really looking forward to, I hope I get the chance to meet you when you come to Houston, and it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful talk. Steve and Becky Green from Phoenix, thank you very much for joining us here on the Catholic Lunch Break in Houston.
Thanks
so much for having us.
And Sarah from the JP2 Foundation, one last time, how can people register for this?
Absolutely. You can go to togetherinholiness.org and click on the Sugarland or the Woodlands buttons.
And when is it going to be?
September 26th.
September 26th. Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay, great. So Sarah Dietz from JP2 Foundation, thank you very much for joining us on the Catholic Lunch Break.
Thank you.
And Sarah, can you check if J.J. Watt has signed up already? I'm asking for a friend.
Not yet, but I'll be sure to let you know when he does.
Okay.
There we go. So David, thank you for running the board today. This has been a really great show.
It's been awesome. I'm looking forward to the conference.
Well, let's do another Catholic Lunch Break next week. So for the rest of the week, you can hear Dr. Ray Goretti at noon, except for the brand new show coming up Friday. Don't forget the Bishop Strickland Hour. The Bishop Strickland Radio Hour starts this Friday at noon on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Please keep listening. Go to our website, grnonline.com, for more information about our schedule, becoming a Rosary Missionary, signing up for our Facebook group, all that kind of stuff. You can even find my contact information and get a hold of me directly if you have any questions about anything Catholic in Houston. If I don't have the answer, I'll do my best to find it for you. My name is Tim Mott, and I keep listening for Dr. David Anders coming up next, answering tough questions about the faith. For now, go, and may God go with you.
close to possible as to their understanding of those source documents. In other words, they're not going off the rails, right? They're not going off the rails as to their interpretation of certain things. They're looking at the source documents and what the founders intended on saying, originalists, contextualists, things of that sort, that help us understand it gives a very solid foundation on how to understand the things that are going on around us now, right?
Yeah.
So we're not doomed to repeat it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer. I know that Philip Campbell comes to mind. He's a great historian, and you've got a lot of others as well. Hey, Walter, we're out of time. I wish we had more time, but thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you for what you're doing. I invite people to go to those websites, homeschoolconnectionsonline.com. You can check out my class, An Introduction to the Summa Theologia, or literally hundreds of other classes in the fall. Early registration deadline,
that ends on July 15th.
July 15th, right around the corner, yes.
July 15th, yeah.
Okay, and then also that other website is CatholicHomeschoolConference.com, and you can visit that one and all those other talks. And they're going to do another one in August. I can't believe you guys just don't like to sleep, do you?
No, we don't like sleeping.
Okay. All right, Walter, thanks so much, and great talking to you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you being on with us today.
Yeah, God bless you, Dave, and God bless the ministry of Guadalupe.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks also to Sissel and to Robert and Diane Schwinn, and last but certainly not least, Sam Cavanna, who does a great job with all of our social media. See you next week for the next Good News Show. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for joining us for the Good News Show here on KATH 910 AM on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Please join us next week at the same time for the next Good News Show. KATH 910 AM, Frisco, Dallas, Fort Worth.
To a priest.
What's stopping you? This is Called to Communion with Dr. David Anders.